Come on, man. Smooth.
Yes! To Terry McLaurin. Gotta love seeing touchdowns in training camp.
You heard that, Smooth.
Yeah,
So I'm excited, man.
Spell it. I need you to spell it.
C-O-bility.
The fans are back, and so are the pads. We've got some training camp highlights for you. And the guys are back on the field talking all things defense. And speaking of defense, two-time Pro Bowler Jonathan Allen joins the show. And Commanders family,
Go Stars now!
Where the excitement is growing, still an hour before the gates open, and you can see the fans already lined up.
All day! Go!
shout out to our Commanders family for helping us start the show. Brian Cooper Jr. here with Santana Moss, Fred Smoot, London Fletcher, Sean Springs, and Logan Paulson. We got the whole crew with you guys, which means it's training camp, baby. Not only is it training camp, it's the first day of pads. The fans are here. How exciting was today, Tam?
It's always exciting, I think, especially because we're sitting in these seats now. We're not out there in that heat. But honestly, I mean, when you have that first day of pads and you know those fans are out there, it gives you a sense of like a real live action, real game, type feeling. So yeah. I'm pretty sure those guys was ecstatic.
Well, first of all, I ran out here on a day like this, first day of training camp. I ran out here with this guy. That guy wouldn't show up at practice. He would probably be there. So it's just one of those things where we enjoy the fans. We like to talk to the fans, but I say it's a microscope when they come to practice because then they get to see what you do good and what you don't do well at practice. So we cognizant of it too.
Listen, real football was played today. It's about putting the pads on, showing who really wants to play football. BC, you started off with Tanner, who's a wide receiver, and Fred, who's the defensive back. It doesn't matter whether we got pads on with these guys because they weren't hitting anybody. The only one who really got pads on was Logan and myself. Sean, you ain't get some either. So for us, we got excited about the pads being put on because it's an opportunity to truly show yourself, show who loves football, and really show an opportunity to make a football team.
What you trying to say? The skills guys didn't love football?
Yeah, y'all love football, but y'all don't like to be touched.
Yeah.
Well, I say this. When you come out here in this type of heat with them pads on, it make you consider practicing.
Yeah.
I might have stayed back a few times and freshened up. But I was excited to see the energy because by this time in camp, guys are really excited about putting the pads on first time. And there was a lot of energy out there today, guys. I love seeing it.
I was going to say, it's the first time we've seen them in pads, and it was great to see everyone kind of bringing that juice. Like there's sometimes where it's a little bit, we're tired, and I think Dan did a great job scheduling practice, so they'd be fresh for today, they'd be ready to go, and it showed up big time, and guys made plays, and the pads were popping, which was awesome.
A lot of energy here today, and training camp being back, the pads being back on means we got highlights for you guys, so let's get right into that. It's time for some can't miss moments presented by FanDuel. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official partner of the Washington Commanders. Fellas, first play, it's Mariota to Terry McLaurin. Gotta love seeing touchdowns in training camp.
I know you ain't surprised by seeing 17 catching the ball in practice,
Not at all.
True professional.
Most definitely. And if you're a cornerback and you're going to learn how not to get beat, that's the guy you want to do that with.
Beautiful throw, deep ball, over the shoulder.
Deep ball in this drive was awesome because they were going back and forth. 17, 13, he had a couple PBUs. It's nice to see that level of competition again.
Gonna be seeing a lot of Terry McLaurin. And something else I think we'll be seeing a lot of is Jayden Daniels connecting with his running back, Brian Robinson Jr. B-Rob showed he's more than just a running back out there.
He says he's a football player, man, and every time you see him on the practice field, he's one of those guys that's always getting better, man. I love to see B-Rob out there catching passes like that.
You like to see a running back who can create a matchup. He beat linebackers, so his running.
That's when you become a weapon.
He's a weapon for sure.
A weapon.
Gotta love B-Rob. We talked to him, had a one-on-one interview with him. You could catch that on the Commanders YouTube page. He talked about being more of a receiver and showing that he's a dual threat back. Speaking of dual threat backs, Jeremy McNichols, wide open in that end zone.
What I love is you got Jayden Daniels out of the pocket, making a play on the move, and being thrown an accurate pass to his running back out of the backfield.
And when you see a guy that wide open, you got to give credit to Cliff Kingsbury also, man. That is good offensive scheme.
Yep. And as a defender, Fred, man, when you see a play like that and a guy that wide open, what's going on?
That's me. You need to go. You need to go to the sideline, sit down on the bench, and watch none of your teammates come sit beside you.
And it wasn't just Jayden and Mariota making plays. Sam Hartman also got a highlight in there, making a connection with Zacchaeus.
Great throw, great catch. Sometimes the receivers make plays too.
Oh,
Hey,
sometimes.
But look at the juice.
Well, Tanner, you always made
Sometimes.
But that's good coverage. That's not bad
great
coverage.
coverage.
Sometimes
Look at the sideline, though. Look at the sideline, man. People are
That's
juiced for practice,
competition,
man.
baby. You gotta love that.
You gotta love that, and you know Dan Quinn loves that as all. We actually heard from Dan Quinn as he talked about leadership on his team. Let's take a listen.
I had known there was some leadership there with him, and so for guys like he and Tyler Biadasz, sometimes their leadership, it's not suppressed because that's not the right word, but they might be in a O-line room or others that already had somebody that was established as a leader. In other words, like Tyler's time in Dallas had Tyron Smith and Zach there, so it wasn't like, hey guys, this is how we're going to do things. But there is an element with Nick and Tyler getting started here that they're able to establish some of that, the traits and the things they have learned and the way they want to lead. So he's strong, he's square, as an offensive guard. But past that, he also has some excellent qualities as a teammate that he can pass along to others. I love guys that have gone through some journey because they're able to relate to different aspects of someone's career. And so for a guy like Nick, has awareness for that.
Fellas, we heard from Coach, so let's get right into some of these storylines of training camp. He talks about establishing that leadership. We talked all offseason about all these new faces here. How important is it to establish that leadership, Tanner?
I think it's very important. I think one of the things that I did when I first got here, being the new guy in 05, is I established mine by just making plays, showing these guys that I was going to hold myself accountable, and I was going to make sure that I went out there and did my job. I wasn't very, vocal, but they saw a guy that was going to come out here and go to work. So then you get guys starting to follow you. So I think it's going to be a lot of those guys as well. But some of those leaders you already can just point at and say, hey, he's going to be the guy that's going to lead us. But some of those guys it's going to be about solely making plays and taking care of their job.
Yeah, I think you love it because you got all these guys they brought in free agents. You got the Austin Eckler's, you got the Zach Ertz, you got the Bobby Wagners, and you see their leadership on the field. You see them in between periods talking to the young guys, and I think that's so important for establishing culture. Like I think of myself as a young player coming in and having London Fletcher as a model of what it means to be a pro and following that example, and it's just it accelerates the process of team building right away.
You heard that, Smoke.
Tana too. I gotta give Tana. Yeah, there we go.
Beyond leadership, what I like to see, especially when you think about defense, because you have so many new guys on this defense, communication and developing chemistry is so important. The team bonding, that's developed in training camp. That's having some tough practice. That's actually having some plays where you give up in practice and then you get in the meeting rooms, you talk it out. Those are ways that you develop great chemistry, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
And Linda, you mentioned the word chemistry. When we asked Fred Smoot a storyline of training camp, use the word comfortability. Fred, expound on that.
Is that a word?
We've all been free agents before. Like when you're a free agent, everybody think, all right, I'm just a plug and play player. Well, I got to come and get used to Ashburn, Virginia, a.k.a. the DMV. I got to get used to a new playbook. I got to get used to a new coaching staff. I got to get used to a new locker room. I got to get used to a new everything. And while you're trying to do that transition and trying to get used to these things, you also got to play top of the line football. So I think for any free agent, what you want to do is become one of the boys, first of all. I'm in this locker room, but I also want to set the tone. This is what you can expect from me week in and week out.
I mean, comfortability is a crazy word, but what I would say is I was thinking about defensive backs when you said that, Fred. Just like there's so many different body types, there's so many different skill sets, and they're all trying to fit into this Joe Witt Jr. defense. And how do you find those roles? They got this dime, big, hulking safety guy that can play in the box. They got your nickel, you got your two safeties, you got your starting guys outside. I feel like that is the thing that's going to define this defense moving forward. And over the first 5 days of practice, we've got to see little tidbits of that flesh.
And when you talk about body type, long, athletic, big guys, if you think about all the corners, St. Juice, Davis, Forbes, all over 6 feet. And when you're talking about guys that look athletic, long, and versatile, and you talk about DeForest in the back end, you talk about Chin. Next Cam Chancellor, I believe. But these guys now can be flexible. I mean, we talked about it earlier in practice, the flexibility of being able to play safety, free safety, nickel, dime backers, a lot of different positions you can play when you have those type of bodies.
This is time. I'm sure they did a lot of this during the offseason where they had guys playing multiple positions, especially with the safeties, whether he's a true middle of the field safety,
Yep.
he's a hybrid, is he a nickel linebacker, things like that. Got a lot of versatility, and this is an opportunity for guys to really carve out a role for them and see, hey, because you want at some point they're going to have different packages, and you want to be in those packages as much as possible.
And that's the definition of comfortability.
Spell it. I need you to spell it.
C-O-bility.
And Logan, it's not just the secondary that has that depth. The offensive line as well. We've seen Brandon Coleman line up on the left side, line up on the right side. How do you feel our depth at the offensive line is looking for this year?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think it goes really well with the DB conversation because everyone's kind of finding their role. And one of the things Dan Quinn talked about is getting guys that can do multiple things and finding that kind of perfect five plus those three guys that are going to back them up. And, and this is true of all positions, but finding that chemistry within that group is so extremely important. And it's great to see that left tackle spot specifically, kind of that battle start to unfold itself a little bit.
And fellas, we can't talk storylines without talking about the elephant in the room. Jayden Daniels, number 5, number 2 pick. What about Jayden Daniels are you looking at during this training camp? We're talking development. We're talking competition. How are you feeling about Jayden Daniels?
I think one of the biggest things that stand out to me is just how he's absorbing everything that's going on with him. You have a kid that's coming in, he's thrown into the fire, and I'm liking what they're doing with this staff as far as not really putting him out there and saying, you're the guy, you know, take off, win us some games, show us the way. But no, they brought him in here and say, look, this is a guy that's modeled something like yourself in Mariota. Watch what he's doing. Watch how he's doing things. And then when you get your reps, go out there and show us whether you can do it better or some similar to the same. But one thing I like about him, he's a very confident, humble person. He's a guy that's not really sitting here and saying, it's about me. I'm going to pat my chest. I'm going to pat my back. No, he's saying, I want to become that guy. I want to become that pro. And you see that when you watch him practice.
Hey, Tana, you play with a lot of young quarterbacks. I think RG3, his rookie season. You as a veteran receiver, what can you do, and what would you like to see a receiver like a Terry McLaurin and some of the veteran guys do to help Jayden out in his process and his development as a quarterback?
I think one of the main things you want to do is show him that you're available for him at all times. I think one of the things you want to be available for in practice when y'all going through reps, those reps that you take on air, and then also when we just sit on the sideline talking about those plays. But not only that, when we're in that film room, that's the time when you really sit there and say, look here, man, what do you want to see me do on this route? Or when I'm running that route and I'm expecting something, hey, this is what I'm expecting. So now we can get on the same page. And I think that's some of the things that most of the guys, I've learned that from watching older guys talk to quarterbacks, and I think that's something that you're going to see these guys do. Jayden's a very smart, intelligent player. He's not a guy that's just here and saying, hey, I'm just this guy that run around the field and made these wildly plays and won a Heisman Trophy. No, I've been in this game for so long studying behind my father, so I'm sure he's come to the game with a lot, already on mind.
Fellas, a lot of storylines, a lot of threads to follow. And you see, we're outside. You see we're drenched in sweat. It's because we are here going live from training camp, and we got more live shows for you coming up. You won't want to miss this crew on our Command Center Camp Coverage Live. Join myself with the whole crew. That's right, Fred Smoot, Santana Moss, London Fletcher, Sean Springs, and the legend Logan Paulson as they break down practice right from the sidelines. Tune in Tuesday, August 6th at 9 a.m. to wake up with the Command Center crew. Here's a look at what you missed on last week's show.
Calling you now, the playmaker?
Yes, that's what I call him.
Yeah, is that it?
Yeah, because Smoot doesn't make any plays.
All right, so we're talking defensive line today, guys, and I think one of the things I wanted to ask you guys is defensive personalities, right? Is as a defensive coordinator, as a play caller, how can you elevate that group? Because I think, everyone looks at that and there's no big names outside of the 2 interior players. Everyone's like, where's the pass rush going to come from? Joe Witt Jr., how can he make that group more dynamic?
Yeah, well, first thing is how you coach them. They brought in a former teammate of mine, Daryl Tapp, who came from the San Francisco 49ers. And when we thought about the San Francisco 49ers, they were led by their defensive front, getting pressure in the quarterback's lap, being extremely disruptive. And you look at our guys, we have 2 interior defensive pass rushers in Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, explosive, disruptive pass rushers. You go out and you sign Dorrance Armstrong in free agency. They brought him from the Dallas Cowboys. He was more of a situational guy last year. He'll be looked at to play a major role for us. Then you also bring in Dante Fowler Jr., another guy who can come off the edge. And then the second round pick, and Johnny Newton, another disruptive guy. So when the identity of this defensive line will be a shift, you'll see a lot of guys looking to create pressure, get into the backfield. It's not a lot of taking on blocks. You'll see a disruptive group getting after the quarterback.
And I think this drill is really interesting to watch, right? Because we're getting a shift, a stem, and working on setting a vertical edge on the bag. Obviously, they're transitioning now, but I think those are types of things we didn't see a lot last year, right? And moving the front, kind of getting guys in better positions.
Fellas, it has been a lot of fun doing these live shows at camp. It's been even more fun getting to hang out with these guys in their element. Here's a look at the numbers John Allen has put up in his career. Over 380 tackles, 39 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, and that's right, an interception. I got to catch up with our star defensive lineman, Jonathan Allen, after Monday's camp. It's time for Best Seat in the House, presented by SeatGeek, your ticket to great Commander seats. What's good, Commanders family? Brian Colbert Jr. here, and I am with Jonathan Allen. Big dog, I appreciate you being here, man.
Of course, anytime. Appreciate you for having me.
Oh, man, of course, man. It's a special day because it's the second day of fans being here. Fans were let in Sunday, man. How has it been having the fans back here for training camp?
Man, it's been exciting, man. There's a lot of change going on for this organization for the better. The fans are excited, the players are excited, and it's always exciting this time of the year.
You and the other players have talked about the energy here a lot. You said you've been revitalized being here with this energy, man. Talk about that energy and what is so different about this season.
I think there's a reason why a lot of players around the league I've talked to said they love playing for Coach Quinn and Coach Witt, and that they're their favorite coaches ever. And I can see it, man. The energy that they bring day in and day out, man. They made football, for me personally, fun again. Just feel like I'm back in high school having fun with the guys. Also, while working harder than I ever have before, man, it's been incredible.
Dan Quinn has called you one of those guys that's just everything he loves about football. So I'm sure you're one of the first people he talked to when he entered the building, being one of the cornerstones of this defense. What were those initial conversations like on Dan Quinn that made you say, you know what, this guy's locked in?
I just wanted to, me personally, I went into it with an open mind, and I just wanted to see what he was about, see how things were going to be run. And after just listening to his excitement and his passion, I knew that I at least wanted to see it. Yeah. And once I started seeing him, man, there was no doubt I wanted to be here.
And he said he wants dog-ass players. And you have shown that within your career. Now you're going into year 8. How are you feeling in year 8, man? You're a veteran, you're a leader. There's a lot of young guys out here, man. How are you feeling?
Man, I'm feeling hungrier than I've ever been.
Wow.
Trying to work harder than I ever have, doing all the little things I've never done before. And, man, I'm just excited to be out here.
Man, well, you keep getting recognition from the league, man. You were named, I think, number 54 in the NFL's top 100 list. I think that's your 3rd time being on the list. How important is that recognition, not only from your teammates, but from the league overall?
That means a lot. Whenever you're voted onto something by your peers, I mean, that's all I could ever ask for is respect from all the other players around the league. So for them to vote me at 54, man, it means a lot.
Yeah, man. And now you get to be a big leader and a veteran to a guy like Johnny Newton. I feel a lot of people are very excited about him. He's dealt with a little trials and tribulations coming back on that field, man. How excited are you to be able to mentor a guy like Johnny?
Anytime a rookie comes in and all he wants to do is just work and play football, man, and you got to respect this. So I'm excited, man. You know, after seeing some of his film, he's definitely a ball player, and I'm excited to get to play next to it.
And this is really your 2nd time really being able to be a vet and grooming a star defensive lineman, because you got to do that for Deron Payne.
Amen.
You got to see Deron grow, man. How has that been being, you know, Batman and Robin with Deron and watching him grow?
Man, when you got to do like Deron Payne, man, it makes being the older guy just easy. Yeah. He just wants to come in and just push you.
Yeah.
So I always accept that challenge, and, you know, we always compete with one another, and we just always push each other to get better.
And we can't wait to see what you guys do, man. We know you guys are going to be put in a position to succeed because of Joe Witt Jr.
Amen.
Talk about Joe Witt Jr., man. The energy he brings, man. Just the way he walks around the building. Talk about Joe Witt.
Man, I love him, man. He's a guy that I want to play for. Like, I think there's something to be said when you have a coach that makes players want to play hard for you, and he's that coach for me. Yeah. So I'm excited, and I love it.
Yeah, man. And clearly a lot of people are excited as well. The fans are here, man. There is a lot of energy, and defensive guy, man, y'all got the pads on for the first time today, man. How big is these moments when you're able to put those pads on and go full speed?
It's huge, man. Whenever you get an opportunity to put pads on, it really allows you to see who's about that action.
Yeah.
So it was fun today.
Yeah, man, and we know you about that action. Jay, before you go, man, look into that ISO camera right there and tell Commanders fans why they should be excited about this season.
They should be excited because regardless of the score, regardless of the record, you're going to be proud of what you see on that field. So I can always guarantee that.
Jay, I appreciate your time, brother.
Sir.
Thank you so much, man. Commanders family, Brian Colbert Jr. here with Jonathan Allen. As you heard in the interview, J.A. made the NFL's top 100 list at 54. But he wasn't the only Commander to make the list. Terry made it at 97, and Bobby Wagner made it at 59. Now, Commanders family, before we go, our boy London Fletcher made some headlines recently.
Not really.
Calvin Johnson said that you laid the biggest hit on him. Talk about big hits. He said London Fletcher laid that wood on me. That's what he said.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that play?
Oh, Lumber. Lumber was laid to him. Hey, the thing about that hit, and I remember it, that was a game winner because they were driving and we needed to score. It was a 4th down play. I saw him coming across that middle. I said, oh, he looking like smooth. I'm about to lay him out. I'm about to lay him out. The thing I didn't like about that video, he gonna say I was 5'7". I ain't no 5'7".
That's kind of right. Good way to do that, Calvin.
Now, let it like to give y'all some smoke early in the show, saying that y'all the pads don't matter to y'all.
Yeah.
But y'all been a part of some big hits in y'all day too. Tanner, take it away.
Well, I'm gonna talk about getting that lumber laid to me. Pause.
What is going
Nah,
on?
real story, man. True story. So I just came back off a broken hand in 2011. We go up to Seattle, and Cam Chancellor hit me so hard. Now, you know, I've been hearing these things about the scorpion hit or something.
Oh,
They
yeah.
call it the scorpion or something.
Yeah.
So I'm going backwards, but my toe touched before my head.
Oh.
So I don't know how that happened. And all I can remember is getting up and having that beep. And I see him chanting at me, and I stayed in the game, but man, that's one of those hits that I'll never forget.
Well, I had so many hits, so many hard hits. You know what I'm saying? Brandon Jacobs, he's scared of me. Emmitt Smith been running for me for years, you know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, but I did lay that wood on one Matt Hasselbeck in the playoff game in 07.
I don't remember that.
Because I almost won us the game because he almost didn't get back up. So at the end of the day, yes, that was one of those hard licks.
Lies, true lies.
I was in the same game and I don't remember that.
Blue, what's your hit? Or either received or gave?
I have received it. I'm a defense player and I had some big hits. But the hardest hit, I think, was Richie on a Monday night football. The Eagles.
He hit you.
He hit me. The fullback hit me so hard. They changed the game. They changed the rules.
It was harder than that Mike All-Star hit?
Yes, yes it was.
First play, dive up the middle. Sean Springs in the hole. Sean Springs out the hole.
Yes!
Come on, man.
Smooth.
Yes!
Smooth told me to say that to you. Logan, I know you got a memory.
Save him, man. Save him.
Okay, so when I was in college, there was interception. They had a big old wall of return guys, so I was like, I got to make the tackle. This is me right here. So I closed my eyes, dove for the thing, and the crowd went crazy. I was like, oh, I must have killed that guy. So I get up, and it's my own teammate off the ground, and all of his teeth are knocked out.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, my bad, dog.
That's all you had to say.
Lumberjack.
Sean back. He recovered from that All-Star hit.
Yeah, both there.
The Richie hit was actually harder.
Well, was it?
Yeah, because I cried doing that. I dropped a tear on the field for my guy and told him, everybody in that green jersey, you mine.
Well, Sean, we're glad you joined us back on set, Commanders family. That is it for us. We will see you next Tuesday. We'll be live again Tuesday morning from training camp out here in this heat, sweating just for y'all. Commanders family, until then, we out.